Hello, everyone knows about the Campfire Audio, creators of few really successful models and lot of just successful. So, I think that recently they've decided to show no remorse for the audiophiles' wallets. I still didn't recover from the purchasing their limited edition of Andromeda Gold, and they've announced yet another limited model, but this time it's Solaris, and I still have to get it for my collection. Well, it was hard test for me, but I succeed. Anyway, they've released this limited version of their hybrid model. It uses same drivers, single 10mm single dynamic driver with how is it called, crystalline diamond-like carbon coating or something like that. Single balanced armature for mid frequencies and two balanced armatures for the treble, with their signature true acoustic enhancement chamber. Well, it's hard to pronounce. TIAC technology. But in this model they've changed the inner acoustic structure. They've used 3D printed ceramic chamber spatial, so they've decided to use high density material, and it allows them to change sound a little bit. And also they've changed the design. They used some shellfish. I forgot actually the name. I googled that and I learned how to pronounce it, but I forgot totally the name of that shellfish. Anyway, they used unique pearl-like faceplates for this model, giving a totally unusual look. Of course, price became higher. It's now $1,900, comparing with $1,500 of regular Solaris. And probably now let's have a closer look. Package is traditional for the Campfire Audio. To be honest, I don't like it. I will show right now why. It looks really attractive. Of course, box is stylish, superb, looks like some precious thing. But what I don't like this seal. It was glued here, and I don't like that I can't remove it without traces. Of course, it's the purpose of this seal to make sure that no one didn't open this package. But I'm a bit of perfectionist sometimes in some aspects, and I really like to have a box unchanged, but not in this case, of course. And inside we will have big case with earphones themselves, and pouch with accessories, cleaning tool, short manual. Actually, about the manual, where are the abalone. So this shellfish is abalone. Nice to have a manual. So where is technical specifications? Here they are. They are probably close to the original ones. So 115 decibels of sensitivity, 10 ohms of impedance, 5 Hz, 20 kHz. So as you can see, really sensitive in-ear monitors, typical for the Campfire Audio. So with them you will have a good set of accessories. So 3 pair of foam tips, 3 pair of regular black silicones, five pairs of final audio tips, and of course signature pin made by Campfire Audio. I think it's the most valuable thing. And as you can see, their pouches are leaving some dirt and dust after them. Nice case. Probably it's real leather. Looks really attractive. really pleasant texture. And inside here are limited Solarises themselves. So, but as usual, Velcro holding the cable. In terms of design, they remind the classical Solaris pretty much, but no gold plating this time, just this abalone shell. You can see the idea how it looks like. Pretty fancy, but maybe not suiting some business casual style. It's more of fancy accessory. Shell is made of metal, it's relatively big and heavy. To my ear they're fitting perfectly, but probably some people with some people with smaller ears it could be an issue with fitting, but for me the fit is really great. They have a really good extended spout, so sound isolation is even above the average, so of course there is a grill for protection from derbies falling inside. Nice superb level of metal work as usual for the Campfire Audio, and also lip is present for holding the tips, so everything is done on the superb level traditional for the Campfire Audio. Tips are fitting really tightly, but that's a good thing, they will hold better. So build quality is superb. I decided to zoom in a little bit this video. I suppose it will be looking okay, so everyone could admire the beauty of these shells and faceplates and build. Cable is made replaceable as usual. Here used signature beryllium copper MMCX connectors, really tightly fitting, really durable, nice click, well, holds really well. And of course, as usual, really good cable. It's medium in terms of softness, not super soft, but pretty comfortable. There is ear hooks without memory wire inside, so it holds well and reduces the microphonic effect pretty noticeably, because it's medium in terms of hardness. It looks really attractive, as usual. You know, there are some elements that are common for the Campfire Audio and Allo Audio cables and products. Metal splitter with chin slider, but most probably you won't use it, and it goes braided down below to the regular angle jack. So as you can see, build quality, accessory set and everything is really great as usual for the Campfire Audio. And of course about the sound, I really suppose that I won't have to reshoot this video completely because of this idea to use zoom, and but I really can't stand showing these faceplates more and more. Anyway, let's have a player on the table and let's proceed with sound description. I gave them about 40 hours of burn-in, but to be honest, I didn't listen them before burning in, so I don't know did they require any burn-in. Probably, of course, they do, as well as regular Solaris. Anyway, what is the most important, as usual, I always highlighting that you'll have to find the proper tips to get the best isolation. Luckily, this final audio ear tips that Campfire Audio provides with their in-ear monitors, they are really comfortable and usually fitting really well. In terms of sound, they are really close to the original Solaris, so sound changes wasn't drastical and frequency response looks the same, but sound is not only about the frequency response, and that's why some difference is present anyway. Bass is absolutely the same as Solaris one, maybe some tiny nuances, but I've did some A/B tests. In the low frequencies I didn't find any difference, but anyway Solaris bass was really good. That 10mm dynamic driver was fast, at the same time punchy, impactful, and bringing enough of impact, enough of kick, and so on. Depth is really good. Bass has slight accent, but not too much, just enough to be how to name it, to be a bit forward, to giving you all that pleasure of good low frequencies, to highlight how well bass here playing textures, how natural and organic it is. So it's really good technical bass. It's suiting acoustic instruments, it's suiting electronic music, because depth is really good. So it's almost flawless, unless you want the maximum resolution. In this case, of course, you need to get Andromeda Gold, but here you sacrificing a bit of resolution in order to get more weight. So it's typical balanced drivers versus dynamic drivers. And for me, actually, this Solaris version of low frequencies probably is a bit better. So as an example for the low frequencies, I've selected a bit unusual album. It's the famous Quintet. It's Charlie Parker, Dizzy Gillespie, Bud Powell, Max Rich, and Charlie Mingus. So like 5 gods of jazz music gathered together to play live. If someone will invent time machine, probably that's the first concert that I'd like to visit, but I'm afraid that there will be too many time travelers to visit it. And I've selected a track named Hot House, and it's really tight test for the low frequencies, because here present really nice acoustic bass part, but at the same time it's not highlighted and it's not accented. Acoustic bass just play at the same level as other instruments. At that time they didn't have an idea that you need to highlight bass to sound more palpable and more enjoyable. So when headphones are not good at low frequencies, these bass are usually lost. It's losing weight, it's losing that sense of realism, but with Solaris, of course, you will hear this instrument in all its glory. You can hear that it's a real instrument with real size, with strings. It's sometimes I think that this description sounding a bit weird, but if you test good in-ear monitors with good dub, I think you can understand what I mean when I say that you can hear the instrument and all its parts. Mid frequencies are actually not recessed, probably it's not the correct word here, a bit less accented comparing with the bass, but at the same time, of course, they are not lacking resolution, they are not lacking forwardness, and Campfire Audio managed to create almost seamless transition from the dynamic driver to the balanced armature. I don't know the crossover schema they've used, and I suspect that the frequencies overlap of dynamic driver and balanced armature is pretty big, because mids are simultaneously resolving and weighty, so they have a decent resolution and they have a good weight. Actually, weight is better than you can expect from single balanced armature, and that's that's one of the tiny nuances that separates high-end headphones from the mass market ones. So, and actually the mid frequencies here is cleaner and more detailed comparing with regular Solaris. I don't know how they did that. Probably that ceramic acoustic chamber is the secret. So it allows to add even a bit more resolution and more detalization. They are a bit picky for the quality of the recordings, but actually not too much. They won't try to highlight all the issues and throw them right into your face, but of course, that's the in-ear monitors that created for the really good recorded material. Otherwise it doesn't make any sense to listen something poorly recorded with them. Really good weight of instruments, really full-bodied vocals, both male and female, really engaging. So, I can say many words, but they sound really good, and that's true. Imaginary stage is really big, one of the biggest in the IEM monitors world, so they're spacious, they are three-dimensional with good width, with good depth. They are a bit highlighting depth, but not exaggerating it too much. So really good in three-dimensional positioning, so probably let's see an example. So for the mid frequencies, famous track, I hope everyone heard it, it's Eric Clapton's Layla, and I think this unplugged live version is the best one. The electric, what is actually in English opposite for the unplugged? Plugged? Because in Russian usually it's called electric version. So unplugged version of Layla is really great, really good work of the record engineers, because they managed to capture this effect of live performance, and the audience sounds really well recorded, and of course Eric and his guitar and all accompanying instruments sounding really live and realistic, and with these IEM monitors you will definitely be deepen in this atmosphere of this concert. And treble. Treble is also a bit accented, not too much, but if you're treble sensitive, probably you need to listen them before buying, but if you're not treble sensitive, of course it's also really good treble. Treble extension became a bit better comparing with classical Solaris, it's almost close to the maximum one. It's good resolution, good layering, rich overtone saturation, nice attacks and decays, a bit highlighted treble to give you that sense of crispness, cleanness, realism. So basically it's they are a bit more realistic than in real life, but it's sounding really pleasant and saturated and juicy and so on. So, as an example here, I've got it's famous track, but of course it's pretty complex. So if someone decided to start some classical music awards and they will try to select the nominees for most famous introduction, of course it would be Beethoven's Symphony No. 5. And this record by Wiener Philharmoniker with Carlos Kleiber as a conductor is definitely great, probably the best version that I heard. I really like records of Deutsche Grammophon, it's ECM for jazz and Deutsche Grammophon for classical music. Anyway, it's famous introduction, and it's pretty complicated for the speakers, for any audio gear, because it's a big orchestra with a lot of changes, pretty fast, with a lot of nuances, and this, of course, it requires a perfect treble to sound at 100% of realism, and of course Solaris will give it to you, and limited Solaris will give you just a tiny bit more of that. Speaking about pairings, they of course require something really good, so probably upper medium segment. I think something like Fio M11 Pro is minimum requirement. It's better to get M15. I bass with the X220, and actually I like the most with M7. And what else? Kane, I think Kane is a bit too emotional for them. These IEM monitors are also emotional, so for me Kane N62 gives a bit of overload with emotions. It's better paired with Andromeda, but of course it's also still a matter of taste and subjective preferences. And of course, up to the best and most expensive dubs on the market, they have the potential to show even with the most expensive gear. So just find something with good black background, because they are pretty sensitive. And speaking about the compressions, let's have some compressions right on the table. Of course, the most interesting one is the regular Solaris. So the difference isn't big in terms of sound. You know, regular Solaris is great and limited Solaris is also great. Signature is really close. Main difference here, you will have a bit cleaner and faster mid frequencies and a bit more treble extension. It's like, you know, squeezing a bit more of tiny nuances and details. And of course the main question, does it worth $400? You know, probably in terms of sound that difference isn't that big, because they are pretty close in terms of sound, but difference is still audible. Of course here you paying extra for that faceplate and for the limited version, and I think that paying $1,500, spending $400 more to get the exclusive gear is totally worth that. But of course it's a matter of taste and a matter of preferences, so if your budget is tight, so get the regular Solaris, you won't lose much. But from other point of view, you know, sleepless nights of thinking maybe I should have the limited version is guaranteed for you. Andromeda, regular Andromeda sounding thinner, more focused on the micro detalization, more analytical and less weighty on low frequencies. Andromeda Gold is closer in terms of sound, and I suspect that they did tune them in similar style and having the similar goals, but they have a pretty equal amount of low frequencies. Maybe Solaris is a bit more weighty, while Andromeda is a bit faster, so it's a different types of low frequencies, and mids are pretty close, while Andromeda is maybe a bit more analytical, and treble here it's more extended, but here I'd say that it's a bit more organic and natural sounding, at least to my ears, of course. What else in-ear monitors I can mention? Not sure. Maybe Noble Audio Han, but Han is more natural and tuned a bit less fun comparing with these in-ear monitors. And Kaiser & Core, you know, Kaiser & Core is good, but limited Solaris overperforms it, giving the same fun sound signature, but doing it probably in a more technical way. So it was Campfire Audio Solaris limited version, stylish, engaging. So let me try to hypnotize you with these faceplates a bit more. So thank you for listening and have a nice day.